Good morning. How are we doing? And look, my name's back on the screen. I don't know why this keeps happening. I keep taking it off. It keeps coming back. There we are. Everyone knows who I am. Good morning. How the devil are you doing this fine day? Going to say very quick good morning to somebody called Darren Zarb over on Instagram, who just joined us. Lots of people over on Instagram at the moment. I won't go through all of them, but the usual suspects are in the house. Let's have a look. Dan Cullen was here way ahead of time. What was that? 9:55. Good morning, he says. How are you doing for a Thursday morning? Yeah, listen, firing on all cylinders again. I watched a thing very quickly this morning. I won't bore you with it too long, but there was an interview online yesterday with Graham Norton, the chat show host, but also the author. Didn't write his first book until he was 52 years old. And he said that the way he'd come to it was literally somebody had said to him, you know, if you're 50, you could have another 20 or 30 years ahead of you. You know, you kind of need to do something. So he went away and did it. But by some weird coincidence, that's me. I thought I was heading for the journalistic scrap heap for many years. And lo and behold, the world took a bit of a left turn with COVID, and I ended up becoming a live streamer and loving every minute of it. Who else do we have in the house? Let's have a look. I think Jim Turner is here. I certainly saw Jim. There you are. There's Jim. Chris Ford is here. Greetings, fellow grease monkeys. May you never squeak. May you never squeak. Indeed. Mark Whiting's here. Morning, Mark Whiting. Good of you to join us. And Ken Hatcher has got, well, he says Misty, but he means Misty. Yes, play Misty for me down in Welsh Wales with Ken Hatcher. Good morning to you, one and all. Load to get through today. I think I say that every single day. You remember there is that famous day from, I think it was back in the 50s, where the news reporter came on and said, tonight there is no news, and they just played music for a while. We've got a bit of that today. There is news, but the news is so pointless, I didn't even bother with it. So without further ado, I'm going to roll the intro, post the question of the day, and get this damn thing on the road. Bear with me 1 second. I can't get there it is. Question of the day wouldn't load, but it's there now. Good morning to you, one and all. It is Thursday, the 16th of January, 2025. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. I am your host, Mark Anthony, the Walrus of Demolition. In today's show, JCB marks National Pothole Day, which was actually yesterday, but they've got a cracking new film for that. It's Child's Play for Allu. A water tower meets its maker, and we're back on our mission to Munich with the fine folks over at Kramer. Plus, in my morning monologue today, modern machines are filled with tech. But how much of it are we actually using? Before we get to all that, we do have the small matter of today's mystery machine to decipher. So, there's the button, this one. Now, Dan Cullen has kind of beaten me to a thing here. He actually says, what is National Pothole Day? WTF? I thought exactly the same thing. Has anybody ever seen the movie Broken Arrow? John Travolta and Christian Slater, and it's about John Travolta basically goes rogue, steals a nuclear missile, and they refer to it as a broken arrow. And Christian Slater actually says in the movie, I don't know what's worse, the fact that somebody's stolen a nuclear missile or the fact that they're stolen so often we have a name for it. We have such a problem with potholes that we've now dedicated a day to them. Would it not be better, rather than spending all of that money on a national day, how about fixing them? Wouldn't it be better? Wouldn't we all be happier if there was a national no fucking pothole day? Wouldn't that be a step forward? Question of the day. I'll come back to that in just a moment, Dan. Ken, rather. But thank you for that, Dan. You and I are 100% in agreement. Mystery machine looks like this. Yes, it has part of a wheel. I haven't changed the colour today. Bizarrely, the system that I use for changing the colour, which is a system called Canva, it's freely available. I've got the pro version, but it's freely available. I tried to change the colour of this morning, and it said you can't change people. Quite clearly, this is a thing with a wheel. It is not a people, it is a machine, but I'd like to know what it is. Make a model if you would be so kind. Going back to our question of the day, and let me take that away for just a moment. Well, let me remind you of it, first of all. There you are. Ken Hatcher is in agreement. National Fix a Pothole Day. Yes, rather than talking about the fact that we've got potholes and having a day to mark, why don't we, all of the councils all get together and just go out and fix some potholes? Would that not be a better use of time and money? Can't help think it would be. Yes, question of the day. I'll remind you of it because I think we've already got one answer, possibly more. Yeah, our question today, my morning monologue tomorrow is kind of about travel, and that inspired today's one. So, question of the day is this. If money were no object, if you were on an all expenses paid trip, which equipment manufacturer would you most like to visit? I've given this a lot of thought this morning. I've always wanted to visit the Caterpillar Proving Ground in America, but since I'm still on their naughty step, that's not likely to happen this lifetime. So I'm going to go with one of the Komatsu factories in Japan, and possibly with a quick visit to Kobelco while I'm there. Huge fan of both brands, also a huge fan of Japan. I'd love to go back there. Komatsu and Kobelco. If you're watching this, I have a passport. And I'm fairly cheap to feed, so just bear that in mind, would you? But what about you? Which equipment manufacturer would you most like to visit? Ken Hatcher says he would love to go to Caterpillar in Malaga. Been there, done that, and whatever you think it is, Ken, whatever you think it is, it's better than that. It really is. It's a fantastic facility. I remember when it was basically little more than a dustpan. There wasn't much there, but the thing's expanded and they've got some fancy buildings there, and it really is an incredible facility, as you'd expect from the fine folks at Caterpillar. Jim Turner says he'd love to go to Larini or Hudig, both streaks ahead where innovation is concerned, so they get equal top billing. That's a pretty good call, I would say. Peter McKenna's just joined us, late to the party. Not a problem at all, Peter. Better late than never. So, Mystery Machine, which looks like this. We've had Dan reckons it could be a Cat 797. It's a good shout, but it is not one of those. He also reckons it could be a Liebherr T284. It is not one of those either. Let me show you a smidge more. Ah, yes, it has has a wheel at both ends. There you are. Keep the guesses coming. Peter McKenna says, I'm not picky or choosy. If I get the opportunity to go to any of them, it would be a bonus. Yeah, as I say, I would very much like to get over to Larini at some point this year because obviously they've got some big news coming. But yeah, given the choice, one of the big Komatsu factories over in Japan. I missed out. When I went there, which I'll talk about tomorrow, but when I went there in 2019, I was there as part of an EDA, but also a Caterpillar trip. So I got to see one of the Caterpillar factories. Well, I got to see two. I got to see one which was live and kicking, and I got to see one that they were knocking down, which is part of the whole demolition thing. So, yeah, fantastic. But because of my arrival, when I arrived halfway through the trip, I didn't get to go to Kobelco or Komatsu, and kind of kicking myself still. Would love to have done that. Jim says, at one time I'd have said JCB, but I think they're falling behind where innovation is concerned. Messrs. Burnhope and everyone else, please pay attention to this. I'd hate to see that slip, as it were. I'm not entirely sure I agree with that fully. I wonder about the focus, and I'm not saying this specifically about JCB, but I do remember when all of the equipment manufacturers had to start towing the line on stage 3 and tier 3 and everything else. There was a very, very distinct feeling, certainly among the trade press, that the manufacturers had diverted so much of their energies and their resources and their finance into hitting emissions targets that other forms of innovation kind of took a backseat. Kind of, not entirely, but kind of. And I wonder about that now, with this focus on electric, or more specifically on hydrogen. I wonder if all the manufacturers are really got their foot to the floor in terms of more functional and more present day innovation. It's a good call. Dan Cullen reckons our mystery machine, let me take Jim away for a second. He reckons our mystery machine could be a Komatsu 960E-1. It is not. Gary Muirhead has finally found some Wi-Fi. Good morning, Mark. Good morning, guys. Signal not great, but I'll try and stay tuned in. Good of you to join us, Gary, and good to see you over on YouTube as well. Always fantastic. I always say this. I mean, I know we're broadcasting on Facebook and on Instagram and on LinkedIn and various others. Best experience is over on YouTube by a million miles. It's a better quality. The chat works better over there. If you've got a choice, that would be my suggestion. Go over there. Dan Cullen reckons our mystery machine could be a Komatsu HD 405-8. It is not, but you're in the right ballpark. Peter McKenna reckons that 982 M from Caterpillar. It's not one of those. It is also not an HD 605-10, nor is it an HD 1500-8. Gary Muirhead, on our question of the day, which manufacturer would you most like to visit? Entirely predictable, says Steelers Factory. Sorry, very predictable, I know. Listen, the heart wants what the heart wants, doesn't it? And if you've got a loyalty to a brand, then I don't blame you one bit. I'm sure you'd be greeted like a god. There you are. There's a little bit more of the machine that we're trying to identify. As I say, we've got Dan Cullen. He's very much on the right track. Let's say he's got the right make. He hasn't got the right model. Keep the guesses coming if you would be so kind. So yes, I mentioned at the top of the show. There's at this point, over the last 9 episodes, we've pressed a button and we've got a pre-recorded bit of news. I looked at the news last night and first thing this morning, and it was boring. Very, very boring. In fact, the only piece of news that I could have brought you is the fact that the construction industry has reported a 0.4% uptick in workload. I mean, 0.4% is pretty meaningless anyway, but it's also 0.4% more than the doldrums that came in the period before. It's a bit like you claiming, I've been to Weight Watchers this week. I've lost half a pound. Yes, but you're not mentioning the fact that you put on 3 stone stuffing your face with turkey over Christmas, are you? So I've decided to ditch that. We're bringing back the old news segment, and we're talking potholes immediately after this. Yeah, we'll have to get to that in a minute because we do have a winner on our mystery machine. This just to prove that I'm not a complete pedant, okay? So Dan Cullen reckons it could be a Komatsu HD 785-8. It's actually a -7. The photograph I've got is actually a -7. But let's not be that guy. So there you are, Dan Cullen. He's got another 3 points on the board. So let me very, very quickly, I'll put that down so that I don't forget it. Dan Cullen has just gone into the lead. Just very, very quickly. Dan Cullen is now on 9 points. He's won the last 3 days. Myself and Gary Muirhead are on 6 points each, and Chris Ford and Steve Williamson are propping up the table with 3 points apiece. Well done, Dan, yet again. Gary Muirhead says the demolition project of the old police station in Blackpool has now officially started with DSM demolition. Yeah, somebody sent me a bit of a scrappy link, or not a scrappy link, but a video, sort of a handheld video. Wasn't worth bringing it to you, but I'm fairly sure the folks at DSM will probably have a camera pointed at that. So I'll be bringing that to you just as soon as I can. Garvin at Mostly Diggers just joined us. Triplet over on Instagram as well. Maureen Morrow has just joined us. Lots and lots of people over there as well. Dan's dangling up the ranks. He is. He's taken top spot. Yvonne says, good morning, Mark. A compliment on your recent articles on LinkedIn. Very well written and thought-provoking. Ah, shucks. Anybody would think I do this crap for a living, but thank you for that. That really does mean a lot. I have to say, I mentioned it at the top of the show, and I promise I will press the button on the JCB thing in a second. I mentioned at the top of the show this notion of Graham Norton getting to the age of 50 and thinking, well, I've still got plenty of time left. And I wrote, apart from Christmas Day, I wrote every single day over the Christmas period. I took, I think, about 11, 12 days off, and I wrote every single day. My brain at the moment is in absolute overdrive. Now, this may be the calm before the storm. I may be building up to a major episode or something like that. I don't know what it is, but for some reason, I mean, I've never once, in 36 years of writing, I've never once suffered from writer's block. But over the past, I don't know, 6 months, it's like the dam has burst. I'm just full of words. So if you're bored with it, I'm sorry, it's not going to get any better. Anyway, enough of all of that. Let's have a look. The hub on the rear gave away as Komatsu. See, he knows his stuff. There's Dan Cullen. Thank you, Gary. And there is Dan saying, good morning, Dr. Yvonne. Yes, good morning, Dr. Yvonne. Welcome, welcome, welcome. JCB potholes. They've taken a bit of a different way of looking at this. Have a look. Yeah, top work, JCB, on a fantastic video. Wouldn't you like to think that these were being mended under the cover of darkness? I mentioned this a little while ago. The road outside my house has been resurfaced about 2-3 weeks. No, about a month before Christmas, and it's like a baby's bottom out there now. But this road leads into another road. That one hasn't been fixed. That one is like driving through the desert. It's just rutted. But well done, JCB. Fantastic film. And yes, apparently yesterday was National Pothole Day. We've dedicated a day to a fault with our roads. What does that tell you? What do we got here? Dan Cullen says, I'd love to get to Devellon, Marabini and Cabelco yards in the UK and get a day in each. Listen, I don't think that any of that would be particularly hard. I mean, a bit of a hike, I would say. Obviously, Marabini up in Redditch. Cabelco, I guess you'd go through Molson down in sort of Bristol way. No, go and give them a call. Tell them you'd like to come along. I'm sure they'd be delighted to welcome you. Peter McKenna says, stuck link for Walk on the Wild Side Blackpool Police Station demo. He'll be doing a follow-up video daily as needed on WhatsApp. Thank you very much indeed for that, Peter. I'll check that out. Gary Muirhead says, I hope he's got plenty of cans of paint with him. Amount of potholes there are. Yeah. I'm sure there are. Listen, obviously, as a driver, I don't drive very often, but as a driver, you are aware of potholes. But since JCB have launched the Pothole Pro, I went out. You'll probably remember I actually went out and filmed some potholes near where I live, basically to illustrate the video that we'd shot with JCB. So I've become very mindful of our potholes, and some of them, I mean, you could drown a small child in some of them. And given the weather we've got at the moment, frost and rain, and then probably some sunshine around about summertime, it's not going to get any better. Question of the day: a day at your auctions. I was there for 2 hours, didn't see the whole yard. Was amazing. If ever you get a chance to go up to Ritchie Brothers facility up at Maltby, up in Yorkshire way, I think Maltby is. Go up there. They've spent an absolute fortune putting in a new facility up there, but they have got a yard to die for. As a plant fan, you listen, it would be like going to heaven. It really would. Peter McKenna says, Lancashire County Council has 3 of those pothole machines and hasn't used them yet. Still patching up with idiots in vans. Seems like a bit of a waste, doesn't it? Dan Collins, and still waiting for time to get to JCB too. Go. Just go up. Go to the JCB. What do they call it? The JCB experience. You know where it's the world headquarters. turn left into the factory. There's a JCB experience. Just go and reminisce about all the JCBs we've loved over the years. It really is worth a visit. To report potholes, download the Clean My Streets app. Yeah, there is an app that is reported directly to the local councils. The only thing that is possibly an issue with that, and I do think this is where we need more accountability. You can go out and take a photograph of a pothole on this app. I think there's more than one, but you can take a photograph on that app. You upload it, and it is geolocated via GPS and sent to your local authority. What they need after that is A, a response to say we have received that, and B, we will be fixing that in 7 days' time or something. Otherwise, they're just going into a black hole. Local councils, I'm sure you're all watching because, why wouldn't you? Pay attention. Dan Cullen says it should be made that road repair companies should have 2 pothole pros in each council. All the money. I must call Georgia and book a day through her. I'm sure she'd be more than happy to welcome you. Question of the day, Lorini Factory and the amazing Marco. Yeah, going back to our question of the day, which was, which manufacturer would you most like to visit? So you're going to go to Sweden via Italy or Italy via Sweden? I don't think it matters. I think you'd have a great time at both. We're going to be back in just a second with Child's Play from the fine folks at Allu.
If you are enjoying this episode, please consider supporting the show. You can leave us a tip at buymeacoffee.com/demolition news.
Thanks for that, Peter. I didn't realise that. You do get a notification to say they've received the report mark. That's going back to the reporting the potholes. As I say, the bit that I'm really after is that bit to say, yeah, we've got it. We'll be on it in 2 days or whatever it might be. And how many people have reported the same potholes? Sure, is that not like a crowdsourcing thing, though? If you've got a pothole that is reported by 5,000 people, give that a priority. If you've got one that's reported by the bloke that lives next door to it and nobody else, maybe make that a lower priority. Surely they can make that happen, can't they? Just asking for a friend, really. Allu, yes, Allu. Child's Play.
Every journey in life starts with small steps. As the years go by, those steps become bigger. And as your journey unfolds, your experience grows, allowing you to be one step ahead. Allu is a family-owned company that designs and manufactures world-class screening products. With decades of experience, a strong focus on the customer, and keeping safety above all else, Allu strives to deliver the best customer experience possible. Do it the Allu way, and you'll always be one step ahead. Whether it's a mini excavator, skid steer loader, or 45-ton earth-moving equipment, we have a product for you. With over 100 different applications and the largest product offering on the market, Allu can provide you with a solution to increase productivity and save you time and money. The products are made with the highest quality standards and will get the job done even in tough working conditions or long hours. Through our strong partnerships and our nationwide dealer network, we can quickly deliver genuine spare parts and provide technical support and training every step of the way. Join us on this journey. Join the Allu family and stay one step ahead.
Yeah, nice work, Allu. I'm going to go back to the chat because we've got this from Jim Turner, who says, I definitely need to go to Maltby. It's not a million miles away from you, is it, Jim? Went to a Euro auction sale the other year. That American style of auctioneering doesn't half great on me, though. It does on me a bit. I filmed it a couple of times, and when you first hear it, it's like, this is a bit of a novelty. Then after a while, you think, why are we doing that sort of American style thing over here? When I realise Ritchie Brothers I'm assuming they're American owned. Don't know why we do it over here. And does anybody really buy into that? And particularly in the day and age of online auctions, does that really count for much anymore, or is it just a hangover from the past? Don't know. Dan Cullen says, sat waiting for the go-ahead as this asbestos is bad. Got to go to Bristol next Monday for a face fit. Well, two things on that, Dan. First of all, make sure you're clean-shaven, because otherwise a face fit won't do you any good at all. And second thing, if you're in Bristol, give Molson a call. Pop by, have a word. There's a guy there called James Dodkins. Phone him up, tell him I sent you, see what they can do. Gary Muirheads, can you imagine the food in my factory tour? Meatballs in Sweden and pasta in Italy. Oh, I'm going to let you into a small secret. It's not a small secret. I've got a bit of a landmark birthday coming up in February. Won't bore you with the details, and this is not me pleading for gifts, but it is a bit of a landmark. And me and my other half have been talking about not doing it for my birthday, but actually booking it for my birthday to do a train tour of Italy. Just go to a bit of Italy and then get on a train, sleeper trains and all that kind of thing, and just go from place to place to place and eat our fill, pizza and pasta as far as the eye can see. So yes, I'd definitely be in for that. And Gary, if ever you do get up to Sweden and to Steelrist, pickled herrings. I know it sounds bad, but pickled herrings, banging. Lee Upton has just joined us. Good morning, Lee. How are you doing, my friend? Good of you to join us. Thank you very much indeed for being here. It's hard to believe a harmless-looking object is the most dangerous in all industries, still not fully comprehensible in the dangers. Yep. Thousands of people per year are still dying from asbestos. Unbelievable. There you are. Learning more about it with the Econ Group, such a fantastic company to work for. Long may it continue. Econ, a huge admirer of Econ. They do some fantastic work, so keep up the good work. Peter, I will take a look at what have I got coming up. Let me just have a very quick look. I've got a couple of clips coming up, so I'll take a look as soon as I can. Jim Turner, if you're going, let's organise a day. I'm up for it. That's going to Maltby, I think. I've been to Ritchie Brothers Auctions in Florida. Massive. I bet it is. Love to do that one. Jim Turner, I've spent a good part of my life at auctions, and I see the talent good auctioneers have, but definitely not the North Americans. Just a load of nonsense. Yeah, I was about to do an impression of it. I can't do it. Why would I? Peter McKenna says, Food Factory Tour, American Jalapeno Puff Factory. American Jalapeno Puff Factory. Is that a thing? Jalapeno puffs? They sound like my cup of tea. My son, Fred, bought some Chinese chili oil yesterday. He's a bit of a quiet cook on the QT. Bought some chili oil yesterday. Inedible. And listen, I like me a bit of spice. I'll plonk hot sauce on anything. This stuff, absolutely inedible. May as well just throw it away because nobody's eating that. We've got a bit of demolition coming up for you in just a second, so stick around. Be back after this. And just to prove my skills with words, basically, Gary Muirhead says, "Would your birthday score on a dartboard be treble 20?" In answer to that, I can only say bullseye. Yeah, it will. I will be turning the big 6-0. Jesus H. Christ! Can you believe that? It seems like about a fortnight ago I was thinking, "Oh, I'm going to be turning 21 soon. How awful!" Bloody hell's bells. Yeah, 60. In, I don't know, whatever it is, 4 or 5 weeks. Yeah. But having said that, if it's an excuse to go and pop around Italy eating nice food, then so be it. I'm all more than up for that. Water towers and their demolition, like this. Nice blast. Nice blast. Just very, very quickly, Peter McKenna, I've just checked WhatsApp. I didn't realise it was as good as that. I didn't realise the app was as good as that. I'm going to have a bit of a look at that a bit later on, but well done. Really enjoying that. If you or anybody else happens to know the contractor for the Grenfell Tower, would you please contact me on LinkedIn? Thanks already. Your Italian trip sounds wonderful. As it stands at the moment, there isn't a contractor. Well, as far as I know, there isn't a contractor for Grenfell because the go-ahead for its demolition has not been granted. There is still every possibility that it may be staying exactly where it is, although in a slightly modified form as part of an ongoing memorial. We're expecting a decision from Angela Rayner at some point in the next month or thereabouts. If I hear anything on that, I will let you know, Yvonne. But as I say, as it stands at the moment, certainly as far as I'm aware, you never know what's going on behind the scenes. But as far as I'm aware, because the demolition hasn't been given the go-ahead, then we do not have a demolition contractor for it. And we've got something a bit different for you in a second, so stick around. So I'd like to show you.
Since the finance bill came into effect in April, the construction industry has seen a surge of fuel thefts. The rising cost of living has placed an additional risk of theft by employees and contractors, as well as opportunistic thieves. By using diesel dye and placing warnings of its use, you are sending a clear message that this is your fuel.
I'm just going to throw this up because I'm going to agree entirely with Dan here. He says, "My God, unbelievable! How many people are looking for works since I'm sure that means since the beginning of the year." I switch on LinkedIn every single day. Well, I don't switch it on; it's already on my computer and it's there. And in months and years gone by, it would have so and so is looking for work or is looking for a new role or so and so has changed jobs. I have to scroll past dozens of those now, because there's so much of it going on. Dan says, I'm on stand down, adding to up to 40 people a day, all looking for work, and groups are filling up too. That's where we are. And as I say, one of the online platforms, I can't remember if it was Construction Inquirer or Construction Index, making a big song and dance about a 0.4% uptick in demand or workloads at the moment. Not enough at all. Now, if I were to say to you Turkish construction equipment, I'm sure most of you would think, yes, Hydromik, those with the opera cab and the very fancy white machines. But there's another company. There's a company called Cookerova. We actually featured them as a part of our roundup of Intermat. Well, I've been keeping a watching eye on them ever since. This is not strictly construction machinery, but I think you'll like it. Have a look at this. This is what Cookerova do in military circles. If ever they host a Battle of the Backhoes, I'm going with that. Some serious power to get a backhoe loader of that weight and that size airborne takes a lot. So yeah, fantastic. Cookerova over in Turkey. Dan Cullen says, a lot of people are screaming for work, but even though rates aren't great, would a job not suffice until rates pick up? Stuck complain is you need money to pay to keep the roof over your head. The problem, and I do think this is one of the problems that we have within the demolition and construction industry and the secular nature, that up and down, is If you've had 2, 3, 4, 5 years of up, where rates are high and there's lots and lots of work and everybody's doing very, very nicely, and maybe the whip hand has transferred to the employee, there is this belief that, that if I'm charging 25 quid an hour, 28 quid an hour, or whatever it might be, then that's what I'm worth. You're only worth that while the demand allows it. If there isn't enough work out there, your value is devalued, if you know what I mean. Have you not showed this before? I'd love that tool. Be a great demo tool. No, we have shown Cooker over before, but not that one. Jim Turner says, my biggest issue with LinkedIn is just because my profile pic has open to work banner on it, they presume I'm unemployed. I can never weigh up how they get to that idea. Yeah, well, change your profile pic would be the easy answer, I would guess. Hare's cheese curls, Mark. They also have Carolina Reaper ones that are equally as good. Carolina Reaper. They separate the men from the boys, and no mistake. Do you know the annoying thing? And I would say the same about habaneros, chilies, and California Reapers equally. They both taste really good, but you only actually get the flavour for about a nanosecond before your tongue falls off. But yeah, do like the taste, have to say. We've got one more thing to play for you today, which is going to be Baumer related. So we need a bit of this. Yeah, with Baumer about 3 months away now, a lot of the manufacturers are starting to round up what they did in 2022 as a hint of what they're going to do in 2025. And I'm all for it. This is Kramer. Yeah, looking forward to seeing Kramer. They'll be next door to Wacker. Looking forward to seeing them as well. Jim Turner says, why should I change my LinkedIn profile? I am open to job offers. Just because I have a job doesn't mean I won't fancy a change of firms. The problem is, though, Jim, and listen, it's your profile. You do with it what you will. The problem is, as you are well aware, not only are there human beings going through LinkedIn scanning for people that are looking for that kind of thing, it is possible to skim or scrape, I think is the word. That's the word that the techs use. You can punch into AI, go and have a look at LinkedIn, find everybody that says they're open to work, and then bombard them with crap. That's the way the system works. So the only way to do away with that is to not be open to work. Must go, lads. Speak tomorrow. Have a fantastic day. Excuse me, got to go to a meeting. Not a problem, Dan. You emerge victorious anyway. Have a good day. Don't forget to have a shave before you get your face fit test, and have a word with Molson. You might have a good day out. So that pretty much wraps up the main part of this morning's show. I'm going to roll the outro in just a second before leaping gazelle-like over into my morning monologue. If you can't stick around for that, do please stay safe. Look after yourself, your family, your friends, and your colleagues. Hope to see you again very soon. But if you do have the time and the inclination, and if you are not using all the tech that you have at your disposal, stick around. I'll be back in just a moment. Just going to get this one out of the way. Peter McKenna says, you're all making me jealous. Wish I was fit to work at the moment. Only a matter of time, Peter, before the comeback begins. Get well soon, my friend, and get back to work as well. So, yes, morning monologue time. I'm sat before an Apple Mac computer. When I first bought it, it was state-of-the-art, featuring an M2 chip, whatever that means, and it is by far the most powerful machine I have ever owned. Yet, for much of the day, like for the 22 and a half hours that it isn't occupied with live streaming, it serves as little more than a glorified typewriter. Now, don't get me wrong, it's an impressive typewriter. The keyboard is a delight to use and the mouse glides effortlessly. Yet here I am with more computing power at my fingertips than NASA had when they sent a man to the moon, and I use it to type articles about demolition and diggers. There are applications I've never opened, features I've never explored. My computer can play music and movies, but it never has. It can take photographs, provide weather updates, and navigate me via maps. It's never done any of those things either. In essence, handing me this computer is like giving the keys to a Ferrari to a monkey. But I'm not a Luddite, and neither, I suspect, are the tens of thousands of equipment operators around the globe that rarely touch the tech crammed into the cabs of their machines. Modern machinery is designed to be finely tuned to meet the specific needs of operators, owners, applications, and even the attachments they use. Yet I'd wager most operators set their preferences once and never look back. Today's machine cabs are equipped with monitor screens that offer a labyrinth of menus and submenus. They allow operators to adjust everything from engine revs and hydraulic pressures to their preferred radio stations or Bluetooth devices. But how often do they actually use those features? Do they spend the start of each day navigating through drop-down menus, or do they simply hop in, hit the start button, and pick up where they left off the previous day? And if the latter is true, it raises an important question. Why are equipment manufacturers so obsessed with cramming their latest models with endless tech features when the end users don't seem particularly bothered either way? There's several reasons for this, but the most significant is that technology, at least as far as I'm concerned, has become a key differentiator. It's the battlefield on which manufacturers now compete for market dominance and sales. Many manufacturers now source their engines, drivelines, and components from a shrinking pool of global suppliers, leaving little to distinguish a yellow excavator from one brand and a grey one from another. The real differentiator now lies in the tech. And this shift has made my job more challenging. Press releases that once detailed a machine's size, operating weight, bucket capacity, dig depth, reach, payload, now bury those important facts beneath descriptions of 7-inch displays, Bluetooth connectivity, and AI-powered reversing cameras. It's like a car salesman fixating on the capacity of the ashtrays or the design of the door handles when all you want to know is how fuel efficient the car is for your daily commute. And there's another critical point to consider. Much of the in-cab technology I've described comes standard with machines, whether operators want it or not. Even if you haven't fully embraced telematics, your machine is literally brimming with sensors monitoring every single function. Nowadays, fixing a machine often requires a laptop and a sonic screwdriver. And yet, the technology that could genuinely enhance site safety, obstacle avoidance systems, reversing cameras, human form recognition, is typically only available as an optional extra. The dichotomy is puzzling. Manufacturers prioritize flashy, marketable tech features over the practical ones that could potentially save lives. It's as if the industry has lost sight of what truly matters, favoring bells and whistles over foundational safety improvements. We have access to incredible technology. Much of it goes underutilized or misprioritized. My computer, like many modern machines, holds untapped potential. Yet both are often reduced to their simplest functions because the complexity and abundance of features overshadow their practical use. So perhaps it's time for a recalibration, to shift the focus from tech for tech's sake to technology that genuinely enhances usability and safety. Until then, I guess, I'll continue using my state-of-the-art computer as a typewriter, and machine operators will continue ignoring the tech marvels within their cabs, just getting on with the job in hand. So, those of you out there that have tech, do you use it? Do you? How often? We've mentioned this before, and Steve, I would consider Steve Williamson to be a pretty tech-savvy kind of guy. Even he admitted, set the job once, leave it alone. Leave it alone. Now, I realise he's forever tinkering with his GPS system, making sure that he's on levels and everything else. But by and large, the actual setup of the machine, got all that tech at his disposal, and by and large, jumps in the cab, presses the start button, gets back to exactly where he left off. Peter McKenna says, this monkey has driven a Ferrari. Yeah, this monkey's driven a Ferrari as well. It's fun. Wasted on me, but fun. Going back to the question of the day, Chris Ford says he'd love to go to Caterpillar in Peoria. Yes, you and me both. I'm unlucky to be invited. As I mentioned earlier, I am on the Caterpillar naughty step, have been for a few years now. Chris Ford, missed most of the show, summoned to the office for once. We've done nothing wrong. So were you summoned to the office for a pat on the back, Chris? For a pay rise? To tell you what a fantastic your job you're doing? I don't think many companies are doing that these days, are they? Work harder. I don't care how hard you're working, work harder. So, yes, all that tech. And I likened it, obviously, I don't drive a machine for a living, so I likened it to the machine on my desk. And, I've got, I couldn't tell you how many apps there are on an Apple Mac computer. 100 maybe. And I use basically the Notes app, the Mail app, Word, and then live streaming. And the live streaming bit isn't even on my computer. It's kind of a cloud sort of thing. So I've got 97 apps on my computer that I never, ever touch. And I mentioned menus and sub-menus. That's one of the things that struck me up. When I was up with JCB not so long ago, they were showing me around their new in-cab operating system, the name of which has gone completely out of my head. But they were showing me that. And it's not just here's some functions, here's a list of functions, and there are functions within functions that are functions within functions. There's like a never-ending labyrinth of if I press this button, I can go into the back end of this and I can change that. But does anyone? Does anyone? And is there time? For those who watch Top Gear, they used to do, back when Top Gear was Top Gear with Messrs. Clarkson, May and Hammond, they used to do drag races on their airstrip. And it was something that I think Clarkson used to enjoy pointing out. With most cars, like my wife's car, sat on the drive, if I were to do a drag race, I press a start button and I put my foot down and away it goes. Slowly, but away it goes. If you've got one of these highfalutin track cars, or, you've got your Ferrari or your Lamborghini or whatever it might be, you have to start it, select sport mode, select launch control. You've got to go through about 15 steps. If that were the case with a piece of construction equipment, an excavator, a dozer, a wheel loader, would anyone bother? Could you really be asked with that? Or do you just get in it, fire it up, and, that's how I left it. That's how I'll crack on today. Even to the point, I know we've got some systems now whereby a carrier machine can actually recognize the attachment that it's carrying and adjust its settings accordingly. And I think that's a fantastic thing. And getting your hydraulic flows and pressures right is absolutely fantastic. But if that were left down to the individual operator, are you actually sitting there tweaking settings, or are you just going, that'll do? That'll do. What's the worst that could happen? I've got it set up for a breaker, but I've got a shear on. Excuse me. Excuse me again. Just interested to know. If only we can cover up someone else's fuck up. It's kind of my job description, that is. When I'm not doing this and I'm doing bits and pieces for PR and that kind of thing, that's my job. Cover up somebody else's cock up. It's kind of what you do. That's why it's slightly weird to have a foot in both camps. I've got one foot in the camp of cover up somebody's screw ups, and then when I put my journalistic hat on, I'm over here saying, somebody screwed up, tell me more. The world needs to know about it. Yeah, that's the fine line that I walk these days. Tomorrow's, just going to give you a quick heads up because I have written it already. Tomorrow's morning monologue is going to be about the fact that there are different nations around the world who do things differently to us. And to give you an example, just a very, very quick example, and I know Gary Muirhead mentioned Steel Wrist earlier. Steel Wrist launched their tilt rotators and quick couplers. So the company's been in existence for 20 years. They're celebrating their 20th anniversary this year. Here in the UK, we've probably embraced tilt rotators and quick couplers over about the last decade, possibly even a little bit less than that. I realise they were here before, but we were very slow to embrace them. In other words, the Swedes and the Nordic countries looked at quick couplers and tilt rotators and went, yes, please. Yes, we'll have a bit of that. And they had like a 10-year head start on us. And I one of the reasons for that, I think, is not the fact that we are conservative, although I do think there is a degree of that, particularly among plant hirers who tend to drive demand for equipment. But I think also there is a thing about context. If you went onto YouTube today and saw, I don't know, a Japanese company operating an excavator in a very specific way, they had a weird attachment or a weird set of controls or whatever it might be, you're taking that at face value. Here's a Japanese company doing this thing in Japan, but why? And I think when you get under the skin of the why, that's when you start to understand why those countries do things in a certain way. For example, if you go to America and you will see, drive for 10 minutes and sooner or later you'll bump into a compact track loader. They love them over there. Go to France, Spain, Germany, Italy, Belgium, the Netherlands. Go on any of the roads, not the motorways, but the roads, although some motorways sometimes. Go on the roads and sooner or later you will be driving alongside a wheeled excavator because they rode them all the time. And yet here, we don't really do compact loaders. And we don't really do, well, we do wheeled excavators, but not to the same degree. And I think a lot of it is down to not the how, but the why. Why do the Americans so love the compact track loader? Why do our European counterparts so love wheeled excavators? That's what I'll be talking about tomorrow. I'm shocked you're still here. You have been done and dusted before now. Please don't go. I miss you. Funnily enough, this goes to show how welcome I am in my own home. I finished yesterday. I think the show was about 52 minutes long, and I realised some of these go for an hour and a half. I finished the show yesterday, and I walked out, and my wife said, "What's up? Did it go wrong?" I said, "No, it was fine. Why you finished so early?" It was an hour. Good Lord, madam. Jim Turner, no, I'm not a setting twiddler. Just mostly jump on and crack on. Yeah. When you think about it, I mean, I've likened it to a computer, but think about all the power within your TV, for example, or even more specifically, everything that you could potentially do on that. I mean, this phone is now, I don't know, a month old. It's the 16 Pro Max. I got it. I turned it on. I made sure that all my apps had ported across, which they had, obviously. Made sure all my contacts had ported across. They had, obviously. The one thing I did was go into the camera and change the settings to the settings that I prefer on the camera. Apart from that, I have done nothing. Nothing at all. That phone is basically as it came out of the box. There is a million things I could do with that phone. I'm doing 6 of them. That face said it all. Thank you very much indeed. Nothing wrong with all the gizmos. It's always a trade-off between cost and profit. Therein lies an issue. There is an issue. As I said earlier, in as part of that morning monologue, if you take delivery of a machine now, and I've got somebody in mind off the top of my head here, a demolition company that I know very well. They bought a very, 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 very fancy high reach excavator. Had to wait an age for it to arrive, but it finally arrived, and it's got the lock. You go in the cab and there's screens for days, and it's got multi-functions and all the things. Looks like the deck of the Starship Enterprise. Screens and flashing lights, and the guy that I know that runs the company said to the dealer, Where's the reversing camera? Oh no, it doesn't come with that. Now, I'll tell you, they'd spent more than £1 million on this machine. In the cab, it had tech for days. But something that you would have thought would be a kind of a necessity in this day and age, a reversing camera. Nope. If you want that, despite the fact that you've paid £1 million for your excavator, you need to go and spend some more to get that fitted. I've not asked because I don't want to ruffle his feathers even further. But think about that. If the operator within that machine is the same as you guys and me with my computer, there's all this tech that he doesn't use, so it's basically wasted. But the one thing that he probably would use, i.e. the reversing camera, you need to pay extra for that. Is the maths wrong there? Peter McKenna says, practical adaptations within budget on any machine is welcome, but some tact is just not needed. I'd rather have a comfy seat than some of the gizmos. Yeah. And a comfy seat, being able to see all four corners of the machine, making sure you're not running people over. I don't think that's too much to ask. Chris Ford says, been looking at quick couplers for years. It's the cost, including the running costs, that stopped me investing in them. I've either got to fit everything with them or not at all. Quick couplers are very much you can't be half pregnant, can you? If you're going to do it, and I do think, I have to say, the guys at ECY sadly the company is no longer with us. ECY with Oil Quick, they pioneered that here in the UK, and they pushed and they pushed and they pushed. And one of the big issues that they faced before they finally got some companies across the line was the fact that it's no good fitting one machine with a quick coupler. You've got to do the entire fleet and then make all of the attachments therefore interchangeable. And, when you're talking about some of the bigger companies, you're talking 10, 15, 20 machines all need to be upgraded to accept the quick coupler, which is why, it took a long while, but it was interesting. When Armac and AR Demolition bit the bullet and actually went fully oil quick, it was quite surprising the number of companies that followed suit. So yes, ECY, Rich Yarwood and the folks really, really pushed that for years and years and years, basically beating their head on the wall. And then eventually somebody said, do you know what? The time has come. They did it, and the rest of the industry followed suit. I'm an absolute believer in quick couplers, particularly within demolition when you see them being operated properly. I've been on jobs where, in the past you'd have had 2 or possibly 3 excavators, even though it was a bit tight for space. Nowadays, it's one machine, half a dozen attachments, and you just pick them up and pop them off. The problem or the issue that you described there with cost, yes, there is a cost, but there's also a benefit to them. And again, I think I'm relating this more specifically to demolition. There is always a tendency, I think, within demolition to use what attachment you've got on. So if you're not rocking a quick coupler and you've got a grab on and you need to take down a bit of steel, a bit of concrete with a bit of steel, there's that temptation to get hold of it and give it a wiggle in the hope that it will let loose. Obviously, that's putting strain on the grab, on the dipper, and on the boom, on the machine as a whole. Whereas if you've got a quick coupler and you can literally drop off the grab, put on a shear, snip, put the grab back on, you can do the whole thing in 30 seconds, 40 seconds. Why would you not? And there, when you look at it, looking at the bigger picture, which we touched on earlier this week, looking at lifetime costs rather than initial cost, as I say, specifically in demolition, I think the saving that you'll make on wear and tear to the excavator in demolition, you'd probably pay for the quick coupler in fairly short order. But as you say, you do need more than one. The problem is there is no way to mix and match. No, there's not. Obviously we've got this Open S Alliance, but it's not universal. So I think, in the fullness of time, maybe. It may be, but it's even hard to choose between them now because the quick couplers from if somebody asks me about quick couplers, my head immediately goes Oil Quick or Steel Wrist. But Lenhoff do a bloody good quick coupler as well, and Kinshofer do a bloody good quick coupler as well. There are so many out there that are really, really good. It's not an easy decision to make. Yeah, there you are. So tomorrow we're going to be kind of on our travels. I'm going to be recommending grabbing your passport and going to a far-flung location to identify the next big thing. In fact, tomorrow's bit of the show might even be called that, the next big thing, because it is out there. Imagine, I think I mentioned this in tomorrow's show, imagine if you had been in Sweden. 19 years ago, not 20 years ago, but 19 years ago. So steel wrist have knocked off the rough edges of their quick coupler, and you look at it and go, oh, I could see that catching on. I think I'll have a piece of that. How will, either setting up a dealership or just bringing it in as part of your contracting business, how much better off would you be, both financially and work-wise, would you be today if you'd spotted that? And that's not unique. There are other things out there if you bother to go and have a look. I'll tell you more about that tomorrow. Anyway, that's an hour. Peter McKenna, I'm looking at you. We've done an hour, so I can now leave with my head held high. I'll be back tomorrow, 10 a.m. for more of the same, including that business about the next big thing. I came up with a title. I've forgotten it already. So, back tomorrow, 10 a.m. See you then. Till then, everybody, behave yourselves.